So I'm now with Tamsin Chapman-Gunner, and a long-standing member of the Your Partnerships Business Network. Tamsin, you've got some exciting news to reveal. What's coming up? Let's get straight into that, and then we'll talk about the reasoning behind that, because what you're about to do is about to make a big impact for people.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of events coming up. On the 22nd, which is next Tuesday, we're going to be launching a crowdfunder to raise money for an organisation called Gunner's Kids CIC. And then on the 12th of November, Your Partnerships are holding a lunch at the Penventon Hotel, where they will be donating £5 of each ticket to Gunner's Kids CIC as well.
Indeed. Now, there's a powerful story behind Gunner's Kids, of course, and I've watched that unfold and felt for you so much. But just tell the viewers what this is all about.
So in 2021, my husband Chris was diagnosed with bowel cancer. In March 2022, he was given a terminal diagnosis. So he was given, at that point, 2 to 3 years to live. I have 3 children. At the time, they were 6, 9 and 14. So they were very much part of the journey that we went through. So my husband was always one of those people that thought about other people. It's just the way he was. And our journey was quite difficult. Having the children, trying to manage his illness, trying to manage appointments, that loss of income that you have, all that sort of thing, needing adaptations to the house, you know, the going from being a mobile man that used to walk miles to work to somebody that was struggled to get in and out of the car. And involved in that, you've got the children that you've got to maintain. You've got, I mean, I was still working full time. He actually carried on working part time when he could up until January, and he passed away in April. So he did still keep going. But what we noticed along the way is there wasn't any support for the children. You know, from that beginning where you make the decision about whether you're going to tell them, how much you're going to tell them, how you're going to deal with it. We were always very open with them, from the fact that kids hear things, whether you want them to or not. They always hear something. They don't hear when you call their name, but if they hear what you don't want them to hear. So we were very open. But also with the situation, if they're only really being me to support him, you know, if he had an appointment, very often we would be waiting in the car or in the cafe or something. And it's a big thing for the children. And they lose out on the opportunity of being kids. Now, we were quite lucky in our situation. We still had days out, we still had holidays and things like that. But we found that when he passed away, we hadn't got round to doing the memory boxes. We hadn't got round to doing the memory books, because you're just so caught up in everyday life. So actually, before he died, and he had a big role in the logo that we created. It was based on an idea that he wanted. The colours are based on his colours. And Gunner's Kids, it was very much his vision of offering support to families when the parent or carer has got a terminal illness, trying to help children be as much of children as they can be. There's a huge gap in Cornwall for anticipatory grief, so the period before somebody dies. When you know that they're going to die, you start grieving whether you want to or no, because you know that something's coming. You know that this could be the last birthday, the last Christmas, the last holiday, the last day out, anything like that. So you go through a period of time. And for us, you know, it was over 2 years that he had that terminal diagnosis. 3 years if you include the whole time that he was ill. That you're dealing with that every day, and the children are dealing with it. And my son actually wrote something for me the other day, and it was that I said to him, "How did you feel when he was poorly?" And he was like, "I was just worried every day he was going to die." And then he did. And it was just so like that, it was even at his age, I mean, he's 9 now, that it was really sort of on his mind every time they're taken into hospital, every time they have to have surgery, every time they have treatment, that they might not be coming home that day. And children shouldn't feel like that. They shouldn't, you know, my kids now, they worry about me because they know that parents aren't invincible. And children shouldn't feel like that. Children should be able to be children. So his idea with Gunner's Kids was being able to offer that support, being able to offer like a peer networking where there's other parents that are involved in what you're doing, and not just during the week. A lot of things happen like on a Wednesday morning. Well, when you're working or you've got appointments or you've got children, you can't do that. So what he wanted was to look at something where the children can be involved, where the parents can peer support, where the children are having fun. But also being able to provide that practical support of, you need a will, you need a power of attorney, can I get insurance, how am I going to pay for the funeral? All of those things that are going on in your head at a time where you should be enjoying your life, when you should be making the most out of that time that you've got left. So unfortunately, we didn't do it before he died because it kind of crept up on us. Even though that it's coming, you still don't really kind of accept it. And then obviously the period since, it's taken a little bit of time to get going, but now we're sort of here. The 22nd of October is the anniversary of when we met, which is why that feels like the right day to launch.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, what a journey, and no children should have to go through that. I know we say it, and of course I asked you in the green room before that I'm assuming there's nothing out there, that you're kind of fighting against that's already doing what you're doing. This is kind of, because there's some great charities out there, of course. You got Macmillan and all these people and doing their thing, but this is quite unique what you're doing, right? Yeah.
So within Cornwall, I mean, there are sort of, you can get like online support for the children, but it doesn't really give them what they need. And if they're like my children, my daughter's autistic, speaking to somebody online just isn't going to work for her. But I've had conversations with, obviously, you've got Penn Halligan's Friends for the grief period, have a relationship with the hospice. I mean, I have grief counselling through the hospice. I don't mind people knowing that. And also the Cove at Trelisk Hospital. And it's been quite welcomed by the organisations as somewhere where there is a gap. And obviously, if we can fill that gap, we can complement what they're doing, we can support each other. And it was quite interesting that they feel that there is a need there as well, because I was worried at one point that maybe I'm wrong, but from the feedback that I've had, there's a lot of people needing that support out there across the whole of Cornwall. And that's what we're hopefully going to do.
So Gunner's Kids, CIC, is ready for support. It's ready for people to get involved. Yeah. And how do you want them to do that?
So we have got an Amazon wish list page is one of the ways. So if you don't want to donate money, you can buy something. So one of the services we're going to offer is support boxes for the children. So when they come through and they register us, we send in them out a support box that's got things like a worry monster, books on how to explain death to children, stress balls, and things like that. So you can either go on and you can find Gunner's Kids CIC on Amazon and buy from the wish list, or like Boosters have done, they gave us 20 stress balls and they're Boosters stress balls. So they're getting obviously their marketing out through that as well. But that's 20 stress balls that I haven't paid for. They also donated pens and pencils. So if they don't want to buy it off the wish list, but they can donate something that's on there, then I'm happy for that as well. We have a Just Giving page, which you can be found through the Your Partnerships link for the event on the 12th of November. And then from the 22nd of October, we'll also have the crowdfunder page going live as well. But also I'm looking for volunteers, people that can maybe run workshops for us, artists, counsellors, anybody that can run a workshop for us that can help with this memory activities. Days out, places that could provide free entry for the families, because obviously the more funding, well, we need funding to be able to provide these days, but if they're able to be provided for free, we can move the funding elsewhere and pay for more support boxes or expand more quicker. So there's lots of ways, monetary or otherwise, that people can get involved. And if they know anyone that needs the support, on our Facebook page is a link to a form that they can fill in on what support, who they are and what support they need and what area of Cornwall they're in. Sure.
And I know that Cornwall is probably one of the most giving counties in the world. Always seem to be digging into their pockets to help others. So I'm hoping that people will come out of their way to make sure they support you on this. And is there anything else you want to mention in today's video that you've not mentioned so far that you want to get across? But because we've mentioned the 2 key dates, we've mentioned why, and the passion behind and why you're doing it and for Chris's legacy.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to mention whilst we've got this platform?
I think we're hoping to be able to support families from February next year. If we get people in before, we are able to offer something from December. But for me, one of the other things I'm looking for is venues to be able to host these information sessions, or any organisations that might be able to provide support. My garage is full of leaflets from different organisations that we can pass out. But anyone that might be able to support any of the families that we'll be working with, we're interested in talking to, building relationships. Cornwall's great for building relationships, the partnerships. Most of the people that I'm involved with within Gunner's Kids, and the people that have supported me already have come from the partnerships. So it's definitely working together is definitely one of the things that we want to be able to do.
I think your partnerships is definitely, you and I have both been involved in it from early days, but it's really got a good family feel about it, hasn't it? I mean, there's so many people that are generally there to support people.
Yeah.
Friendship above and beyond business, Business is important, but friendships and stuff like that really have blossomed, I think, out of the network over the last 7 years.
Definitely. It's come a long way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Tamsin, I think you're an absolute star. And obviously Brock and myself will do whatever we can, hence why we're doing this today and things like that, and trying to get the word out there and supporting it. And I'll be there in November as well. And making sure we put our 2 pence in as well.
Yeah.
And support it. All right.
Yeah, we'll have a raffle on the day, so I should say that if anybody wants to donate a raffle prize. But it does feel very much like we're just asking for it at the moment. But being a new organisation, we can't apply for funding until you've been operational for a year.
Yeah.
So we are going to hugely be relying on community and corporate support for that first period.
Well, you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Got to start somewhere. Well, Tamsin, very inspirational, and thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll catch up with you real soon.
Thank you.